said do so Ghana. Eh Bob there, yeah, do my CSA. Yeah, nay, do my CS. What's the baby now? Can you do my? And I say a padia and prep, so be the no. Yeah, yeah, do my day. So what's your Santimama? If you're doing, can you better than this time? Meboa. And tell them no be free about Tabaka say, do. Nana did not go for so. I did be a man your Samu, a baby, I said that, your Baganaha, or Pia Antono. School structures, I see, school do I see, school buildings, I see, a bit to an Ekufuado, or Pia to an Ekufuado. In fact, you have few, and Kolako Trump is here, no mutua, as I'm fee, Nana did not go for the headache, watch him. Now, Mukaya was here, your Pabu so much school fees, Nana Kufuado headache. Ono kwani president wa ba so na so Bosi hospital ba ku 111 umpa we na pedie na so po bi o le di Ghana ko le di ba o fo na to bi o me di animu na kwan na de ne ba yan kwachiro kamutie obia odim motia moko he na droy motia ne nan hwe na chi bebu a as you are calling, what's the night? As you are calling, the Samu, and then the baby Wadi. Bawumia-NAPO, Bawumia-NAPO.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get started with our big stories, and of course we're starting from there. That event yesterday, basically outdooring Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. There are so many dynamics to look at. We're going to look at the controversy of pitching the president against Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of Ghana, among other things. Without further ado, let's quickly introduce our guest to you. We have Dr. Richard Amwakoban. He is a political scientist and he speaks his mind. We have Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. We also have Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, together with Dr. John Osae-Kwapong, a CDD fellow. Gentlemen, good morning to all of you.
Morning.
All right. Let me start quickly. Morning. Great. Good to hear from you. Let me start quickly with Dr. Richard Amwakoban. Doc, your take on what happened yesterday, the significance of it, before we even get into some of what was said. How significant was it yesterday? Hello, Dr. Amwakoban, if you can hear me.
Opportunity to chart the path. How you're going to proceed. You're going to fix the problems. You're going to untie the knot and then mend the fences. But that's not what we got. We got exaggeration there, but a lie. That's what I was thinking. It's a lie. I'm telling you, it's never first up to
Doc, we're struggling a bit to hear you, but did you say it was a missed opportunity to do something?
Well, yes. It was a unique opportunity to mend the fences, to smoothen the road by talking to people who are aggrieved by MPP, apologize. Yes. Well, I didn't do any of that. They said one thing about that, and then it kept going, got carried away, and actually compared Nana to Kwame. When Nana is not close compared to Kwame, this is on a key. Then you write all Nana is important. No, yeah. It's not. The guys are well, that's the problem. I don't hate you, but when they lie, I don't like who's down and say that was it. Who is that? Is that it is not good. So it's
right. Doc, the connection is not so good, but I'll come to you shortly. Thank you so much for those initial thoughts. But let me also come to Dr. John Osae-Kwapong. Your key takeaways from yesterday, I shared mine a bit earlier, and I'll share it again. that I feel, I mean, part of the rhetoric shared from the president to the vice, okay, you can accept it on the political front. But I feel for NAPO himself, I felt it was underwhelming at best, uninspiring at worst. What did you think?
Thank you very much. I mean, if the ceremony at Menchia Palace, the public advice that Otumfuo gave him, for me was the biggest highlight yesterday. And for me in particular, was his advice and admonishment to him that as you've been selected as a running mate, make sure that whatever you do, that the vice president would not regret for making you his choice or selecting you as his running mate for the upcoming general election. For me, that was the key moment and the key highlight for me to have publicly said to him that, look, this is an opportunity that the vice president is giving you, and make sure that you handle it with all of the care and all of the decorum that it deserves. In also a subtle way, it looked at as though it was very important for the party to also publicly show that indirectly or in a subtle way that Otumfuo was giving them their blessing as they go into the general election, even though he himself at the end of his speech said the Constitution says chiefs have to remain nonpartisan and outside of politics. But for me yesterday, that was the highlight, that interaction with Otumfuo and the admonishment that he gave him, and also trying to tell NAPO's story of who he is, what he knows about him, to tell another side of the narrative that has been emerging about him. The last thing I'll add with my initial impressions was that, he found a way to also address, NAPO's political temperament, which has come into focus, which is this, quote-unquote, arrogant tag. And one of the things he said was, I don't know you to be that, but also don't let it become that, and so it's like, whatever opportunity you get, make sure that you do not reinforce that public perception that I don't see or I don't agree with. So for me, that was the Menchia part was my biggest highlight yesterday.
We'll be moving to the rest of our guests. I just want you to tell me, though, why do you think the Otumfuo had cause to say that in the first place? I don't know of any other running mate in this Fourth Republic of whom such things have been said that, oh, don't make your presidential candidate regret putting you forward. Why do you think there was the need for that? Otumfuo said he had said that in private and he'll say it publicly as well.
I don't know why he found the need to say that. I don't know what conversations they had in private, but for whatever reason, Otumfuo felt it was important to say to him, whatever you do, because I think he recognizes the important role that he's supposed to play to help Bawumia make a case for a Bawumia presidency. So that would be my assumption in terms of, look, you are there to help this man make a case for why he should be Ghana's next president. And so whatever you do, make sure that it is in support of that. Remember, he also said, look, listen to him, be humble, follow him, take his advice, etc., etc. And so in doing all of that, do not do anything that he may look back and say, I have regrets for choosing you. But only the Otumfuo can tell us exactly why that became important to add that publicly.
Right. Let's go to the two deputy general secretaries. I'll start from the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. Now, we now know that, the running mate, has some close relationship with Otumfuo. So aside the regional balance, that thereby yesterday was significant. But let's focus on the things that he was saying yesterday. What is your interpretation of everything that NAPO said yesterday?
Thank you very much. I would like to take the opportunity to say good morning to your cherished viewers and my colleagues on the panel. Yesterday was a great day for the
Haruna, please speak up a bit. Your voice is a bit faint.
Yes, I'm saying that yesterday was a great day for the New Patriotic Party as we gathered in Kumasi, the Ashanti Regional capital. We did make it a point that we are going to outdoor the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, and the ticket was the flag bearer and the running mate of the New Patriotic Party. Our aim of going to the Minister Palace was very straightforward. One was to ask for the permission of the revered king of the Ashanti Kingdom, for which NAPO comes from that particular line of action in terms of royalty. We needed his blessings to ensure that he gives us the permission to use NAPO for the purpose of running our election, as he has done so previously when his permission was sought for a member of parliament. I think that it was very marvelous. The commentary that was made by NAPO was on point, and he did indicate it. And
are you saying all the comments he made was on point, or some of it was on point?
The points that he made, I think all of it was on point. He talked about the performance of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and it is very clear that he's the only president who has monumentally taken a very huge investment in the health infrastructure. This is the biggest health infrastructure cost that he has taken. So even if that is singled out, is that he has outperformed his success. I think there is some. He has made point that is, and nobody can not different people that are hit by this plot. He has a lot of plot.
Haruna, your line is breaking up. Let's try this again. Are you saying that all the comments that NAPO made yesterday was on point?
Was on point.
That's clarification.
Yes.
Because
yes,
you know the precedent to this conversation is some of the things is his comparison of President Akufo-Addo to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
And in addition, the whole bit about power and how, I mean, I don't know whether he was expressing his opinion or reflecting what Ghanaians think on the energy situation and his tag of Doomsday. And of course, we can get into what he said about Nkrumah, and we'll be vociferous on that. But your take, Haruna Mohammed.
Yes, he was very straightforward on what he said and mentioned Nkrumah. He talked about the biggest health infrastructure. He talked about the biggest health investment, and that is the Agenda 111. And that one.
Where is the Agenda 111 now? How many hospitals have you put up?
How many hospitals have you visited and you have not?
How many hospitals have you put up, Haruna? How many hospitals has your administration put up?
Hospitals that we commission built on various pieces of on first pages of.
Your line is cracking up again. I find it almost disillusional to compare hospital infrastructure that you've not put up and Agenda 111 of which percentage. Let me. I'm not insulting you. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I asked you a question. Yes. How many have you put up? You can't tell me, and you are
telling you that.
Saying and you want to compare someone who put up to this.
Or can you give me the chance to talk? Please, if you ask me a question, you give me the opportunity.
Go ahead, Haruna. Talk all you want.
Yes. It is not true that hospital infrastructure we have in that. You can take your camera, take your bike, go to all the hospitals, all of them are people.
Haruna, I want us to hear everything you're saying. It appears still the line is a bit, I'm not interrupting you, but maybe just move a little for me and start what you were saying again. I want us to hear everything you are saying. Please, let's try
I am
again.
telling you that. Can you hear me now?
It is better. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm telling you that. You can't say that mentioning Agenda 111 is a hospital that we have not built. I am telling you that all the 11 hospitals, 111 hospitals that we have built are at different stages of go to the hospital that building for the year. Who and the level of has got.
Which hospital?
Check the hospital. The level of we have history. Go to that. Check them. Which particular hospital have been built. Go to the region. All the hospitals are various stages of completion. In the north, we started the followed and completed it. Good central, we started that particular hospital and completed it. Those hospitals are not part of the agenda of our
right.
And you know that the infrastructure, the biggest investment that ever a president of the Republic of Ghana has ever done is under development. And if you went and compare it to other presidents, I don't see reason why he's saying that it is not.
Haruna, if you can hear me, we'll try to reconnect with you because I don't want us to miss the import of your words. So I'll go to Mustafa Gbande, who's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and then I'll circle back to you. Mustafa Gbande, thanks for joining the program. So I'm sure you've been following the conversation to this point, and you listened to the running mate, NAPO, yesterday. What is your assessment of his speech? Although I don't think it was a speech written for him. What's your assessment?
Well, good morning, and good morning to yourselves and our dear panelists on the other side. I think that the network has exonerated Haruna from the hearing of your audience. At least he would have made the least sense if there was clarity in what he was saying.
Mustafa, please don't, some of where you've started from, he would have made the least sense. Don't come and insult your counterpart on the other side. I beg you. Just make your point without insulting him.
I'm just saying that if
so I want you to withdraw what you said, that he would have made the least sense, please.
Withdrawn, that's fine.
All right, go ahead. Please go ahead.
To himself, I believe that if anybody would want to defend what happened yesterday in terms of what came out of the supposed running mate about the first president of the Republic of Ghana, I think that it's problematic. Number two, yesterday's event was supposed to be an outdooring. The organizers of the event were the ones that set these personalities up, because at an outdooring event, it's supposed to have some sort of formality in terms of being a program that attracts not just party people, but floating voters, attract the attention of chiefs, attention of the diplomatic corps. And so it embodies, one would have expected that you put a podium that will control what these people say. But again, it turned out to be a rally and a platform where nothing really came out. If you look at what President Akufo-Addo himself went to the place to say, clearly no one is willing to take responsibility in terms of where we are as a country. No one is willing to admit that the ordinary Ghanaian, so far today, this morning, is suffering. Two, if you look at what the leader of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, today, as at yesterday said, he indicated how he is the head of economic management team. Now they are trying to bring back the responsibility of the economic management team, but some few months back, they actually rubbished that management team. It had no locus, it had no implication or whatsoever, and were willing to take credit for what the president have done, but refused to take responsibility of where we are. So clearly, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia again failed to be honest to the people of Ghana in terms of where we are and what really he will do.
Okay.
As for NAPO, I think that basically, he has lost the opportunity to prove Ghanaians wrong. He has moved from being arrogant. He has moved from being somebody who cannot structure what he says and what he does to an uncontrollable person. Yesterday was an opportunity for him to call in the troops, call for unity, bring reconciliation into the party. At least we all know that he was competing with other people, but he missed that chance. And again, when he got to Dumso as a problem, you saw his response. And I think Herbert Krapper, who have replaced him as a minister, I think was asked a question about Dumso a few days.
Krapper has not replaced him as minister. He's a minister of state. He's not even gone through the. But
yeah, but I've seen him talk about Dumso.
Well,
I've seen him talk about Dumso, and if you look at his response about Dumso, you can then compare the personality of even Krapper as a young man to what NAPO would have done as a grown man, a minister of energy, who would have to admit the circumstances of our energy crisis. Again,
Right.
He's not ready to admit. Yesterday, he rephrased it dishonestly and saying that it is doom SEC, insulting Ghanaians basically. It looks as if the NPP, the whole of the NPP leadership that gathered in Kumasi yesterday are operating from a different world.
Okay, Mustafa.
From where Ghanaians stand. Because the ordinary Ghanaian believe that there is high rate of corruption in this government. The ordinary Ghanaian believe that there's wastage in this government. The ordinary Ghanaian believe that yes, we were hit by external crisis, but we could have done better if there was a sense of responsibility and agency within the government. The ordinary Ghanaian, even NPP people in Ashanti Region believe that their businesses are not performing under their own government. The very period that they have experienced collapse in their businesses was the period that President Akufo-Addo became president. But yet, all the functionaries of this government, when they get the opportunity, will tell Ghanaians how they are doing well and that we don't see what they are doing. It's marveling.
Point made. We have to move on to Dr. Amakoba. He was in the middle of making his point, but the line was not very clear. Doc, if you're back on the line, this is your chance to tell us your assessment of yesterday now.
Can you hear me well now?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole thing was just was sad for me, because I thought they have a unique opportunity to tell Ghanaians who they are and how they are going to run the country. The fact that today, the next day after inaugurating NAPO, we are talking about him not in the positive term, but we are assessing what he said, that is extreme, the response. And that was wrong. You see, we should be happy. We should tell it. Now, these are what is in coma, that a bit for another of no. What would that? There is just good looking or what is it? Yes, you have what you've been there time. Thank you. Yes. And go on. You have all for the topic about this. This respect to say that Nanado is a better Roma. See him. But it's not the president needs. Why would the president? That shows that that's what that. What about why would you even say things like these are issues to get around? Because way you get and yet it's not. It's almost but Otunfo don't make it very good. Why should talking about second day instead of celebrate the selection? Because what he said is not good. And so it's only what he's saying. And in fact, post-conflict, They have been playing behind him for so long. It is not so. Means he's not aware of how he himself works. So that topic of just point. You are two stop people anyway. So don't take today how is another.
Right.
Why?
All right, Doc. Although we struggled to hear you, I just picked a thing or two that it was a missed opportunity. I think that was what Mustafa was also saying, that it was a missed opportunity yesterday. But Haruna, let's see if we can.
Maybe before you go to Haruna, let me try again with Doc. I don't know whether you could just reposition yourself a little before we can hear you. But I have this interesting thought. Yesterday, I noticed that while it was all about Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh NAPO, when Kennedy Agyapong took the stage, and I just conferred with a few other colleagues here, and they agreed, he got more of a rousing applause than the running mate of the party. Yet, you have the presidential candidate of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, saying that apart from the good rapport between us, as captured by the Daily Dispatch, NAPO can help me get over 80% in the Ashanti region. Yet even at his outdooring, Kennedy Agyapong was welcomed more rapturously than he was. My question is this thought about his helping the vice president secure 80%, do you think it is grounded in reality? And that question I will ask to the rest of you, but I'll pose to the rest of you. But starting with you, Dr. Mwakobang.
Well, it's very problematic, and it's not scientific either, because now you have the element of Alan in it. People are party, right? Many parties. You are not voting. How do you? This is thinking. If this is how anybody, but you make you peace that he again. Okay. You know, yes, some that you have because people who do not have to vote for them. And it's still just that if actually there's something, there's no feeling. No, that's all. That is one is all that there. I don't know what you said. Is his government board? Does he live in this country? Somebody wants it. Again, oh wow, whatever. Not put structure in the front, and you say, wow, I'm good. How's that? I don't want. Then keep going. Just yourself, keep going. We'll see what.
Okay, Dr. Mwakobang, please hold for us. We are really sorry about the connection. Please hold for us. Let's also bring in Haruna Mohammed. He now joins us via Zoom. Haruna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let me apologize to you because these technical hitches have not, if you go back and listen, you realize that we could barely hear much of what you said. But you are back with us now. Please go ahead with your thoughts. If you can mention the Agenda 111 hospitals, because we couldn't hear you, honestly, from that point. You can mention some of them. You can go ahead and then make any other points or reactions. You've been listening in, right? So at least...
Yes, I did.
All right, so you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I say good morning to your cherished viewers and my other panelists on the side of the discussion. I was saying that yesterday was a very good day for us as a party. Haven't endorsed the candidature and the running mates of the New Patriotic Party. We set yesterday to outdoor the ticket. And first and foremost, the program was for us to seek the blessings of the revered king of the Ashanti Kingdom, and that is the Asante Hene, who happens to be the father of the running mate that we have selected, who comes from the Royal Gate. We needed to seek for his permission and also to sought his blessings to allow us to use his son as he has done so in the parliamentary contest when his permission was sought for NAPO to be added up to contribute to the political fortunes of the New Patriotic Party. Yesterday was a very great day. The Ashanti Region was very specific and straightforward in terms of telling us that he has given us his blessings. We can use NAPO for whatever purposes that we want to do. And he did give him a number of advices, and I think that this is a very solid one that comes from the king. Again, I heard about the discussions on the achievements of the New Patriotic Party vis-a-vis the commentary that was made by NAPO. He said that over the years, we have had BECE candidates pay for their registration. Under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, this particular policy was absorbed by the government, and that is true. If you fact-checked, you will see that this policy has been absorbed and paid by the New Patriotic Party. Again, he made a comparison that has become a discussion on the table with regards to the achievement of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I did say that he made a very specific point in terms of health infrastructure. And I'm saying that the Agenda 111 is the biggest health investment ever we had since independence. A president that has sat down to talk, to think through, to ask that these particular, all other districts that do not have hospital should be given the opportunity to have such hospitals, and then cut the sword for all these hospitals to commission. And I'm telling you that all these hospitals are at various stages of completion. Some at 70, some at 80, some at 60.
Name 10 of them. Name 10 of them and where they can be found.
Go to Myong. Myong District Hospital is under construction. It's above 70%. Go to Tamale. On your way to Yendi, you will see the psychiatric hospital that has been built after the town that the former NDC regional chairman was the chief. You will see it on your right from Tamale going. Go to Nantong. You will see the Agenda 111 being constructed and at its stage of completion. Go to Wulensi. You will see Agenda 111 that is being constructed and at a various stage of completion. Go to Pandai. You will see Agenda 111, which is under a various stage of completion. Go to Zibila. You will see Agenda 111.
I have seen, what I have seen is that you're reading from something and that
I'm not reading.
You've probably been sent a list, which is fair. I mean, it's fair game. All these areas you mentioned, interestingly, some of where we've gone to do not corroborate. But I think what I'll do is let my team go back to some of those places, and then we can have a fair conversation. But you do know that it has been said, you will not complete more than 35 to 40% of those projects before this term is over. You know that, right?
I don't know the parameters.
You've not seen the reports on that.
I don't know the parameters at which you are reading to judge the completion point. But let me make this point. I am not reading from any document. I'm from the Northern Region. And I'm using Northern Region where I come from. I'm using that sector to tell you, because these are places that I have personally visited. And I can tell you that I know the places that I'm mentioning to you. I'm not reading from any document. Even though reading from a document is not a crime. But I'm assuring you that I'm not reading from any document, because I am a son of the northern part of the country. And I know all the places that I'm mentioning to you. And I'm a project manager myself. Before you can be able to tell the completion point of a particular project, you need to assess your work breakdown and look at what exactly that you are doing to be able to see. So if you are telling me that 30 of them may not be able to complete, I don't know the parameters at which you are judging
I didn't say 30 of them. I said that per data, you wouldn't even be able to go far with 35 to 40%, not more than that. But that is a discussion for another day.
That's what I'm saying. The data that you are mentioning, I don't know the reference to which data.
All right, Haruna,
reference to which data, because this is upon work. So let's leave that discussion, because you said you would be able to, you send your people to verify that. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. Points made. We have to move on. We have limited time. Dr. Osae-Kwapong, I'm curious about this. I don't know if I should call it an endorsement. We know that the Constitution prohibits chiefs from actively participating in politics. And so what we saw yesterday and some of the statements that Otumfuo was making, can it be seen as an endorsement of NAPO and the NPP? What are your thoughts on that?
you know, he found a way to make sure that he didn't violate both the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, right? The outdooring was in Kumasi. The party felt it important to knock on his door and say, you know, we are presenting person A to you. This is what we want to come and do in Kumasi. You know, he gave them the audience, he gave them the reception. You know, if you listen to what the president said publicly, it was, look, here's why we're here. He told NAPO's story, etc., advised them on what to do. And so, yes, you know, we do see chiefs throughout Ghana who give all manner of receptions to our politicians, finding ways not to, as I said, violate the spirit and the law of the, you know, and the letter of the Constitution. What he said in the end is one of the things that I found also very instructive, right? You know, he gave a tree proverb, something to the effect that if you are at loggerheads with your in-law, it doesn't mean that you cannot eye them, or something to that effect, loosely translated. But it was that subtle way of saying, at least the way I understood it was to say, yes, you know, and he prefaced it with, this is what the Constitution says. So it's like, yes, I recognize that, but it also doesn't mean that we cannot receive you and engage in some of these public activities with parties, which you tend to see throughout. You know, when you look at our politicians and their visits to different chiefs, queen mothers, etc., etc.
Benjamin was making a point and threw the question to all of you about...
Maybe I'll just reiterate.
Yeah. I want to get this thought.
So the bit about Matthew Opoku Prempeh winning or helping the presidential candidate secure 80% of the votes. And I found it curious, like I said, I shared with some colleagues, and they agreed with me that Kennedy Ejapong got more of a rousing or rapturous applause when, or welcome, compared to now the running mate. Do you feel NAPO, together with Bawumia or NAPO's assistants, can help the NPP secure 80%? In fact, if you look at the trajectory over the last few elections, 80% has not been a reality. Can they get it now?
I'm not sure if they can get 80, but I also know that their goal is to make sure that worst case scenario, they don't fall below 75% of the vote. The other way that I look at the importance of the Ashanti region, and I think I mentioned this on your show previously, is that if you look at the total votes they secure in any given election, going back even to the 92 election, on average, about a third of their total vote share comes from the Ashanti region. And so for me, the key is whether it's Kennedy Ejapong making the case, or now that it's NAPO as the running mate, that is the key, right? Whatever he does is to make sure that he's able to energize the base. And I'm sure the party is going to find strategic ways to deploy him. But for the purposes of Ashanti region, I don't see why, with the kind of energy, that he won't be able to at least help secure the basic, minimum vote share that they need from the Ashanti region. And there's a strategic reason why the Ashanti region is in very sharp focus. I've said over and over again that some of the signals that have come from some of the post and pre-election surveys is the reason why you see this very sharp focus to ensure that at least at their strongest base of support, they can secure the kind of votes that they can. And I don't see any reason why NAPO can't help the party do that. Right. As to whether they'll be able to get that 80%, that I'm not sure.
Let's quickly take the thoughts of Dr. Richard Amwakoban on that. You have an interesting take on whether NAPO can help Bawumia secure 80%. Your take is?
Well, the question you asked is to the point. When Kennedy Japon took the podium, we saw true enthusiasm. That's what I was looking for NAPO to do. Because he spoke the truth. These are your own people. They know what has happened. So you don't have to lie to them. These are your protests. And when they talked about school, they hate them. They can't say how they do it. And they did get around it. That talked about it better. And then next day, you're not talking about how the parties coming together.
Dr. Amwakoban, we need to get what you are saying. Move a little for me and start again. Move a little for me. I beg of you. I know we're harassing you this morning.
Is it better now?
Yes, let's try again.
Okay. What I'm saying is that you can see that when it is responsible and spoke to the issue in the past, it was a result. Yes, want to hear it. How are you? You cannot win party at this.
Okay, Doc, I think we would try to reconnect with you, maybe Zoom audio, but let's try and reconnect. And we'll go to Gbande. Gbande, we haven't heard your thoughts on whether or not NAPO can help the NPP get 80%. And then you can add your final thoughts for us. We do have to go.
Okay, so it's very clear and grounded that in their primaries, 55% of the NPP base in Ashanti Region voted against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It is very clear that in terms of credibility, in terms of party confidence, if NAPO's candidature was supposed to rejuvenate the grassroots, it has failed. Clearly, that objective has fallen flat on the ground. Two, if it's supposed to be one that rallies satisfaction in terms of what government have done, again, they continue to lie. So I don't see how that makes to the mark. But what is important is that the Ashanti region is the bedrock of NPP's political dividends in terms of votes. And so it's important that this function was held in Ashanti region. Now, what is very clear and visible is that whatever the intention was for appointing NAPO as a running mate is failing, clearly failing on the ground. Even journalists and commentaries are not supported. Today, we should be talking about some of the key important things that NAPO have made yesterday. Today, we should be talking about the direction of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia-NAPO candidature. Today, there should be hope at the grassroots base of the Ashanti region. But unfortunately, this morning, here we are discussing arrogance, misplaced commentaries, and all of that. So I'm not truly sure how NAPO can help the NPP in any way. I'm sure that on their table, if they can change NAPO today, they will. But unfortunately, that decision have already been made. What is very, very important is that President Mahama held a very structured lecture or meeting the press a few days ago. And if you look at the composure, the elements that came out of that press engagement, and you compare what happened in Kumasi yesterday, well, viewers' judgment of it will reflect in the 2024 general election. And again, this election is not for Mustafa to convince anybody. It is not for the NDC to convince any Ghanaian. Neither is it for the NPP to impress people. People will vote measuring how the economy, the country have impacted them, how they feel the hardship, how they see leadership, and whether or not they believe that a certain crop of leadership can bring hope in the next future. And that is what the election is going to be about. So for me, Canada Japan is fixed in a situation of credibility test. All the things he have said run up to their primaries against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the ills he's spoken about, I'm not really sure whether or not he can stand publicly to call for Ghanaians to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I mean, I would have been shocked to see Kennedy do that. So it means that there is still some element of disenchantment against the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia-NAPO card in Ashanti region. And for me, that is what reflected in the question my brother just asked.
Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, thank you so much. We'll try one last time to see if we can get Dr. Mwakoba. And then, Doc, if you can hear me, we can take your final thoughts on this conversation because we do have to go. And apologies for the bad connection.
Dr. Richard Mwakoba, if you can hear us, please. Dr. Mwakoba, can you hear us?
I don't think he's on.
Let's try this one last time. Dr. Richard Mwakoba, if you can hear us, please let us hear from you. I think there may be an issue with this, but maybe before we wrap, finally, yes, Haruna, any parting shots before we bring in Dr. Mwakoba finally? Haruna Mohammed.
Yes, thank you very much. I stand to disagree with some of the commentaries that is made by my brother, Mustafa. You know that the National Council meeting we had, after that the General Secretary briefed the media of the unanimous decision of National Council. The NDC up to today has not been able to tell us that Nana got 35% of their council discussions in terms of acceptance of her candidature as the running mate. So NAPO is somebody that is well accepted by the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party. Looking at what happened in Kumasi yesterday, and then referencing the appearance of Kennedy or Japan, you would notice that all political watchers will notice that such a person that is appearing on the stage to add up to the NPP's victory cause in terms of his contest with His Excellency the Vice President, people will definitely be very happy to see him. And I don't expect anything less than what I saw yesterday, because there must be that sense of happiness, that sense of unity, that sense of forward move from the people for acceptance of he joining because of what happened in the contest. So I believe that what happened with his appearance was apt, because people were happy, people were excited, people were so much moved that the NPP is back to its foot, and then we are more united than ever. And I don't think that this should have been something that we should use to measure the appearance of NAPO, because NAPO is somebody that is well accepted. Even Kennedy or Hina Japan accepted the candidature of NAPO. And to also prove the point, in terms of the additions of votes to the NPP.
Please make this your final point. Our time is actually up, but you go ahead, briefly.
Yes. So for the 80%, if you check NAPO's performance from 2008 to date, it is only in 2020 that he has not been able to move. But all his performances has never fallen below 80%. So NAPO is somebody that is a grassroots person. I have been a national officer in the last administration, and I saw the contribution of NAPO. If you look at 2012, he was a director of elections of the party. That contributed for the party to go to the Supreme Court to challenge the decision of the Electoral Commission. So NAPO is somebody that we can even get more than 80%. I'm assuring the Ghanaian citizens that NAPO is going to bring in much more numbers than we all expect. But we are going to do so to make sure that the Ghanaian people appreciate the work of the New Patriotic Party. I'm happy my brother is saying that we are not going to impress, we are not going. Yes, we are going to sell the message, and we have the better ticket when it comes to election 2024.
Haruna Nagode, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Let's bring in Dr. Richard Mwakoba, final bits, and then we can go. Doc, can you hear us? Okay, we don't have Doc. Dr. John Osae-Kwapong, please, you have the final word, and then we're gone. Dr. Osae-Kwapong.
Yes. Well, both tickets have been adored now. It's up to them now to go out and sell their message. But for me, though, the one thing is, if I look at a lot of the conversations this morning, I'm hoping that the biggest lesson NAPO would take from this is that he doesn't want the narrative to become anything else but the ticket and what he brings to the ticket. Because if you look at a lot of the conversations this morning, it's as though it has been even overshadowed, by the fact that he was being outdoored and the ticket was being outdoored. And I hope that's the biggest lesson they take from this going forward. All
right. Dr. John Osae-Kwapong is a CDD fellow. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're also joined by Mustafa Gbande, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and Dr. Osae-Kwapong, who is a political scientist. Thank you so much for joining us. Benjamin, this is what we have.
Yes, indeed. It's far we've come. But I always say that, look, regardless of what is being done now, on December the 7th, that's where the chips will fall. And things will fall in their proper places. I believe just as with the Tories in the UK and others, the reality will hit you when you go to the ballot box, if everything is free and fair. And I think...
Let's see what December 7 comes with. All right. And that's this belt of conversations, but there's still more coming your way on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Yeah!